As Ukrainians all around the world celebrate their most important national holiday, it is important for us to remember that this day not only marks Ukraine's independence from the Soviet Union, it also marks the end of hundreds of years of Russian occupation and oppression. It is tragic that this very same day also marks half a year of Vladimir Putin's savage war on the Ukrainian people. Let me make one thing clear. According to the Russian mind, this day was never going to take place. The invasion was going to take a maximum of a few days, and the free and independent Ukraine was to be eaten alive by the evil Russian Empire. Vladimir Putin and his generals thought Ukraine was weak. They thought Europe was declining. They thought America was split down the middle, drowning in internal issues. They thought it was going to be easy, but they were wrong. So wrong. On February 24th, at 4 o'clock in the morning, democracy grew teeth again. Brave Ukrainian heroes, armed with nothing more than the belief in the ideal nation, used their bodies to stop the Russian tanks. Before modern Western weaponry, they had Molotov cocktails, and they put them to use. Overnight, every able-bodied man in Ukraine became a soldier fighting for freedom. And while many brave Ukrainian women and children were forced to leave their homes and seek refuge in safe cities such as Warsaw or London, Ukrainian men would leave that safety and return to defend their homeland. At the Polish-Ukrainian border crossing, long lines of cars began to appear, but the people in these cars, they were not leaving, they were seeking entry. These cars were filled not only with Ukrainian citizens returning home, they were filled with fighters. Many who had never even set foot in Ukraine before. There were Poles, Brits, Danes, Germans, French, Americans, Canadians, Australians and many more, all coming together and uniting beneath the blue and yellow colors of Ukraine, of freedom and democracy. On February 24th at 4 o'clock in the morning, the horrors began. Indiscriminate shelling of peaceful cities, towns and villages, the deliberate mass murder of Ukrainian civilians in places such as Mariupol, Bucha and Irpin. The total barbarism that permeates the entire Russian army came to light for everyone to see. The brutality of war, the looting of an entire nation, the cold-blooded murder of civilians, the sexual abuse of thousands of women, stealing the youth of a generation. On February 24th at 4 o'clock in the morning, our view of the world shattered. What we all thought was never going to happen again happened. A total, destructive and completely unprovoked war on a free and democratic nation started. But as the darkened clouds of authoritarianism began casting their shadows, something happened. On February 24th at 4 o'clock in the morning, a light appeared. In Kiev, in Mariupol, in Kherson, in Kharkiv, in every city and every village in Ukraine, a light that would shine so bright that it would burn right through enemy armor. A light shining so bright that it would spread throughout the entire continent and across the Atlantic and then Pacific Oceans. This light would shine so bright that it would turn on other lights, lights many people thought were just about to go out forever. This was the light of civilization, of freedom and democracy, of the values shared by the entire civilized world, values that transcend our nations. On February 24th at 4 o'clock in the morning, the Ukrainians said stop. We will not let you pass. They began resisting, and very competently at that. They fought and are fighting bravely in the fields, in the forests and in the streets, fighting for their country, for each other and for Europe, our values and all of us. On February 24th at 4 o'clock in the morning, Ukraine made the rest of Europe remember something important, something we all seemingly had forgotten, that our values are worth fighting and dying for. Ukraine reinvigorated the whole continent. Ukraine made Europe grow teeth again. The tone has shifted. At the Crimea summit that just took place, what we are hearing from both NATO, the EU and the UK is that they will stand with Ukraine until the bitter end, until all of Ukraine is free and deoccupied, until Donbass is free, until southern Ukraine is free, until Crimea is free. As the old saying goes, be careful what you wish for, you just might get it. Vladimir Putin wanted this war. He wanted it so bad, now he has it. And this war will be his demise. Russia started this war, Ukraine will end it. And this is important, because even as the entire civilized world stands with Ukraine, even as Western weapons are being sent, even as thousands of freedom-loving volunteers have joined the ranks and are fighting side by side with Ukrainian heroes, it is still mostly Ukrainians who are fighting and dying. And their bravery is an inspiration to all of us. These are the words from President Zelensky, and I quote, "Every new day is a new reason not to give up. Because having gone through so much, we have no right not to reach the end. What is the end of the war for us? We used to say peace, now we say victory. We will not seek an understanding with the terrorists. Although we understand the Russian language that you came to defend and killed thousands of people you came to liberate, and Johnson, who speaks English, is much more understandable and close to us than murderers, rapists and looters who did it in Russian." End quote. On February 24th at 4 o'clock in the morning, when Vladimir Putin's tanks drove across the border, the Russian command had already planned a huge military parade on the main street of Kiev. Now, 6 months after the invasion began, they finally have their parade. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like the video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel and click the bell button.